What's good, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor Giwa, and today I'm going to be teaching a topic from our beginners class course at the creators block. It's pretty much the composition of a camera just simplified: ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. It's where you need to begin if you want to learn photo videography, and we're going to be pushing forward into some extended courses that we can pull out from some extended topics that we can pull out from the course, the beginners class. And I just hope that you're able to get in one or two things, and you can drop questions in the comments so that I can know what you guys want to see next. And also, if you need an extended version of those videos, you can just sign up to attend a physical class. Thank you so much. God bless you, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And ask questions so that we can move past this stage. It's so important. This stage is like the foundation. It's like the bedrock. Like if you don't get this stage, it's like whatever you're doing in the front stage, you're just going to be messing like a whole lot of things up. So the foundation is so important. So we'll call it the Trinity. Yeah, like I explained it the other time. This is the most important component of photo videography, and without this, like, you can't create a proper image, yeah, without the Trinity. Now, what does the Trinity like? What are the three Trinity? Like, you're supposed to know this now. Somebody called the first one.
Color. ISO.
Thank you. That person that said color. Yeah, let's go. What else? Shutter speed. And if you're not with a jotter, you should use your note on your phone, and you can transfer it later to your jotter. What was the last one? Aperture. I hope I got this correct. So this is what? The Trinity. Do you get? Without knowing how to balance these three things in your camera, there's no magic. You cannot have like a proper exposure. That's why it's so important that today, like, we're just grasping what, like, these three things they will do, like the disadvantages of using some at some particular time and the advantages. So we'll start from the middle. Shutter speed. I always like to start from shutter speed. So I explained the other time, and I said shutter speed has to do with you see when the camera takes a picture, that sound you hear, clish, clish, that's the reaction of what? The shutter speed. Now, the shutter speed volume, or the shutter speed nozzle on the camera, what it does is that it helps you radiate how fast that thing clicks or how slow it clicks. Now, there are advantages to making it click fast. I don't even want to call it advantage and disadvantage, but there are reasons you make it click fast. There are reasons you don't make it click slow. Now, when you make it click fast, what happens is that lesser light enters the camera. Why? Because it's fast. If you close your eye very quick, lesser light comes into your lenses. Then when it closes slow, more light enters the camera. So when you want your image brighter, what do? You make it slow so that it can allow more light to enter the camera before it captures the image. When you make it faster, you already know that lesser light will enter the camera. But now, the advantage of making it fast is in a case where probably you're shooting people in motion. Like, we gave examples of a football match. Imagine people running, or imagine people dancing. You want to be able to make your shutter speed fast so that before they even make the move, your shutter speed has what? Captured the moment. If it's slow, it's just gonna, I don't know if you've taken images sometimes and you just see that little motion blur. It's because why? The shutter speed was slow. So, but now, you as the photographer, like as I always say, you are the creator. You are the magician. You are the one that would not know when you want to slow it down or when you want to increase it, depending on what you want. So now, there are now other functions that you can use to get more light into your camera. So if we're saying you are at a point where you need more light inside the camera, you cannot reduce your shutter speed. Why? Because people are dancing. There has to be something else that you can use to composite for it. That's why this is called camera composition. This I just tried to do the Trinity so that we can understand, because I referred the Trinity to God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit so that it can stick. But at the end of the day, they are all what we call composition. So we use them to compose an image. So it's like a writer that is writing a song. That's what you're using them to do. You are composing an image. It's the way you want the image to look, the attributes you want the image to have. That's what you're going to be doing with your composition. So you've adjusted your shutter to be fast and your image is looking darker. What should come to your mind next is your aperture, because your aperture is also a means to get what? Light into the camera. Now your aperture has to do with the lens. Is there any extra lens here that we can use as an example? I'll show you some images, but before we get into that, I want us to just okay. So if you can look deeply into the camera, you see like you see like this circle. That is the lens blade. Like when that thing is opened, it allows more light to come into the camera. When it's closed, lesser light comes into the camera. That's why you have like low aperture lenses more expensive than the lenses that the aperture cannot come very low. Why? Because every single time your aperture is low, you're going to have brighter images. So you can use low aperture lenses to shoot in low light. You can use them to always composite for your shutter speed when your shutter speed is faster. So the aperture has to do with the lens, not the camera. So whenever you hear aperture, you're thinking of your lens. That's why it's good to shoot with very good lenses. So when we get into the details here, we'll still highlight those things so we can have them permanently here. Now the ISO, like I like to say, is the last thing you should think of. Why? Because ISO is digital noise, it's digital light. So the way light comes in from camera, so from the camera, light also comes in from the lens produces the light. This ISO now is like digital light. So you see, like sometimes on your phone, you take a picture, it's not bright enough. You now go to your brightness and increase it. That's not natural anymore. That's digital. That's what this ISO does. It's the camera by itself that now generates light. So you can't get enough light from your surrounding, from your ambience. The camera now generates light. So it should be your last option when you're thinking of lighting. Why? Because there's the point you increase your ISO to that you begin to get what we call digital noise. So you see those small noise when you zoom into the images. So if you're shooting like high-end images, you don't want to put your ISO high, okay? So just so we move fast, the reason I'm going through this is because I realized that most of us didn't get it the first time, and also because of Emmanuel. Where do we go? It's gonna work. Okay, so ISO, aperture, shutter speed. Like we can see, disadvantages of shooting a slow shutter speed. I don't like to call it disadvantages because there are also advantages. You can use it to create effect, stories. At the end of the day, photography, videography is storytelling. So if you're trying to tell a story of a hazy day or things just moving in this nature, you're telling your story. But for the purpose of this teaching, we're calling it a disadvantage because what we can see here is that they're trying to take a picture of cars, but we can't even see the cars. If somebody asks you what's the plate number of this car, we don't know because the shutter speed is very slow. We have another image here. They took the picture of the lady. The lady is static, but because of the people moving behind, it now makes them look like spirits. Like, is she in the spiritual realm? Why are we seeing like people like this? So there should be a better way you composite the image to tell your better stories. Look at this also. This is the disadvantage of shooting on a slow shutter speed. You can see to tell different stories, different shutter speed also. Okay, look at this fast motion pictures. Imagine these cars. If you see Formula One videos, you see the way their cars always move. Boom! So imagine shooting at a slow shutter speed. You will not be able to capture things like this. So the person's shutter speed, look at the number. The person was shooting at 1/400 seconds. That's like very fast, so that the shutter can capture moments like this. Look at this. We gave this example the other day. Imagine you as a photographer now, you are not aware of shooting at a high shutter speed and you shot it low. So they would have to break this button on this man's head twice. Do you understand? Like, that's not what you are trying to do. Like, you're trying to capture movement in time. Like, what if they break it and the man has already died and you didn't get the movement? Like, very, very important. That's why you need to continue shooting. Just like I said, I'll correct the thing you did over the weekend. If you didn't shoot, we can't make the correction. I believe that after the correction today, that's the last time you're ever going to make a mistake like that. So that's for shutter speed. Sorry, we're moving very fast. There are a lot of things I want us to do today before we go. So this is the aperture. Aperture, like we spoke about, it has a lot of things to do with the lens. And this is what I was showing you on the camera. So you see the wider the lens is, the lower the aperture number is. This like 2.8. You see that at the smallest is like 22 f-stop. That f means f-stop. So wherever you see f, this f like this cursive f, it means f-stop. So what happens when the aperture is at its lowest is that, first of all, what happens? More light comes into the camera, but that's not the only effect it has on your image. The other effect it has on your image is that it makes the background blurred. Have you seen those images that have like really blurred out background? It's because the aperture is low. Yeah. So you see like an example here right now. You see they shot this image at f-stop 22. You see that all the drinks are in focus. Yeah. They shot this one at f-stop 4. You notice that just this one and this one are a little bit in focus and the rest ones are blurred out. So that's why it's called composition. It depends on what you're trying to do. This image is not a bad image. This image is not a bad image, but it depends on the story you're trying to tell. If the story you're trying to tell, you want to show all the bottles, this guy has passed. If the image you're trying to show, this the brand that is supposed to be in focus, then you've told the perfect image. So depending on what the story you're trying to pass, that's the kind of composition that you will now make. So the composition is the first thing you think of even when you already have your story. This is also another image, low shutter speed, f-stop 2.8. Look at, if the aim was to take the picture of this drone, this person has passed. If the aim was to take the picture of this drone, the person has failed. Why? Because when we look at this image, we are no longer just seeing only the drone. We are seeing Emmanuel's College, we are seeing USA flag, we are seeing like too many unwanted things inside the image. So your aperture also helps you to tell better stories. It keeps your audience in focus. When you focus on one thing, the rest things are blurred out. Like it happens even with humans, even in your work. Like that's how you're supposed to work. When you focus on one thing, every single thing is blurred out. Like we tried the test that way we did with our hand. I want everybody to still do it. You pull your hand up, pull your finger up, and just focus on just your finger. You notice that every single thing blurs out. Like it's simply the same thing. God is so powerful. He put all these things inside humans. So Aperture also, this image, we gave an example the other day, depends on the story you're trying to tell. If this lady was, let's say, behind Zuma Rock, and she needed people to know that she went to Zuma Rock, this would be a more perfect f-stop because people can still see what is behind her. At this f-stop, we can't see what is behind her anymore, meaning this tells a better story because it shows more of her background than just her holding a cup. Also, more images. You see, on this one, we have this focused. Here, we have this focused and the bike focused. So let's quickly move to ISO. Like I said, ISO is just digital light, the light that comes from the camera. And the advantages and disadvantages, the better your camera are, the more room you even have to increase your ISO. I think like the camera that's filming behind, even at like 1000, 1500, you don't still see noise. But look at the camera that they used to cite an example here. You see this at 100, crispy, clear picture. You see that at this one, you start to see this digital noise, like you're watching NTA. Sorry to use NTA as an example, but you get the point. Look at the digital noise. Also, okay, look at like 1600 here, you can see noise. At 100 is a little bit cleaner. So ISO should always be the last thing that comes to your mind when you're thinking of what? Composition. So the error that I saw on the image you did that day. So now, sorry, I'm using you as an example. He's an amazing videographer. He has shot. I think I reached out to you weeks ago. I said I love the job you did, but he made an error. So he went to shoot a job for me, and the images looked perfect. But when I checked the image, I noticed that he didn't notice his ISO. He was shooting at about 4000 ISO. Yeah. And the reason he didn't notice that was that the lens he took out to shoot, like the aperture was manual. So the aperture was very high. And he just what? He just wanted light. And he just increased his ISO. But when I was working on the image, the thing gave me so much work. Like I had to find a way to blend the image to just still come out normal. So that's something that I want you, like, don't let anybody pressure you when you get on a shoot. Like, you need to be able to check your camera and see that this suits the story you are trying to tell. Like, you don't want to just take the camera and just start clicking. No, relax. Like, even relaxing is a part of understanding the art. Like, you need to be able to relax, set your camera, because at the end of the day, that rush that you're rushing, if you shoot it wrong, you still go and waste time in the post-production trying to correct the mistakes that you made when you were shooting. So I want you to always understand that this composition is so important. Like when you're shooting, think that you're the editor also, because sometimes we just shoot and we know we're going to give an editor. Think as the editor also. You want to shoot and make sure that everything is perfect. Your angles are perfect. Your composition, most importantly, is perfect. So, does anybody have any question from composition again before we move forward? Did I spell aperture correct? A-P-E-R-T. Okay, I'm safe. Anybody has any question on the Trinity?
I have a question.
Okay.
Before where I started shooting at club, I don't know how to regulate my ISO. Sometimes the light will just go up and suddenly just come
back. Yeah.
So maybe if I'm shooting, I need to take one particular
shot.
It's very important, and my ISO goes very high because the light is down.
Yeah.
So when the light now come up, maybe there's no time for me to quickly use it. What do I do at that point?
Okay. That's a very, very complicated question. Now, at the end of the day, one thing you want to do is that you want to get your images before even thinking composition. Yeah. There were times I shot at the club and I don't think that was ever an issue. Yeah, because first of all, when you're shooting at the club, it's a mood. You're not looking for the brightest of image. You're not trying to get people's face. So I think like there's a way you can still regulate your composition to fit into when the light comes up more and when the light comes on down. So over time, you should be able to find like a proper composition. That's if you don't want to shoot on an automatic ISO. Because now shooting at an automatic ISO, what it does is that it just helps you regulate the ISO, like when it goes bright and when it comes down. So that's something that maybe over time you'll be able to consider what works and what doesn't work. So any other question? Any other question? Something about ISO, shutter speed, and aperture, so that I know that we're done with this. Because even the job we were shooting on, what day was that? Saturday. The job we were shooting on Saturday. I still saw that when we went home, there were problems with the images. Those lines was what? Because of the aperture. No, because of the shutter speed. Those lines that were fading in. So like all you'd have just done was to just reduce your shutter speed. Like you'd have solved that problem. So whenever you see those lines popping in, what is just telling you is that you just need to reduce your shutter speed. Like just go to your shutter speed, really understanding that this is like what you need to study on your camera is where's my ISO, where's my shutter speed button, where's my aperture button, so that at every time you can just quickly like composite them, like balance them. Like when you reduce your aperture, your shutter speed that day, now one thing that was going to happen was that the image will become very bright. So how do you now composite? You go to your aperture, you make your aperture tighter, do you get? And it just balances the image because you are the creator of the image. You need to know that every single thing that you adjust shows on the image. Increasing your ISO too much creates noise on the image. So like I want us to pay attention to that thing. Like wherever you're shooting, you want to make sure that you get your composition perfectly first, even before moving ahead with the shoot. You can have the person pose the best, get the best of shot. If the composition is not perfect, you've done a very terrible job. Okay. All right.
Like, what if you're taking, like, a group picture?
Okay.
Because, like, if you focus on one person,
yeah,
definitely other people will
be blurred out.
So, is it possible for you to, like, increase the aperture, like, very high so that, like, most people can...
Okay. Very wonderful question. So, just like we spoke about, what to always put in focus. Let me get this. Let me go to aperture. If you see, like, this just explains it. If you need more people in focus, your aperture level has to go higher. But you now know that you need to now composite for it. Because if your aperture goes high, your image becomes what? Darker. When your aperture goes high like this, your image becomes darker. But you're going to get more people in focus. So what you now have to do is either composite with your shutter, or you composite with your ISO. Or in the case of when we now move into lighting, you can now start to composite with what? Your light. So you don't want your ISO to be too high. Your ISO very average, at most 400, 500, you are fine. You are still seeing that you need, your image needs to be bright.
The question is, like, when you increase the aperture, like,
Yeah.
definitely it will affect the background.
It will affect the background. Yes, now, if you want them in focus, you obviously cannot now still blow out. You cannot eat your cake and have it. So you have to figure out what you want at the end of the day. If you want them to be in focus, if you see, these 5-6 bottles are still in focus, but the background is still a little bit dimmed, blurred out. That's why you shoot a very good lens. Even with some very good lens, when you get 10 people in focus, you still have your background like a little bit blurred out, but you're not going to get your background as blurred out as maybe when you shoot on 2.8 or 1.8. That lens shoots as low as 1.8. Okay, that was a good question, and that's something that you have to just keep shooting. if you're shooting, this question that you're asking, you would have explained it to yourself, because you have to keep shooting. How many times do you shoot when you don't have a shoot? Do you get? And that's a mistake. You're waiting to have a shoot before you now learn how to shoot. That's backwards. Like, you're supposed to be shooting so that when you now go on your shoot, you are more confident because you already know every single thing. So it's something you have to fall in love with. You have to shoot every day to the point that, like, the thing is just reflex. It just happens. Like, you just know what to do, not because you want to learn it on the set. That day you were seeing that line, I know you were seeing the line, but make I just run because yes, I know there's that pressure when you're shooting a client. The only reason you won't have that pressure is because you know what to do. Like, the opposite of fear is faith. Yeah? The way you build faith is by fighting ignorance. How do you fight ignorance? You fight ignorance with information. Do you get? You don't fight ignorance with you just know. So you fight ignorance with information. There's a level of information you have that you now have confidence. What makes one person have confidence, the other one have confidence? Because one knows, one does not know. Do you get? So how do you know? You know by doing. So you have to actually shoot to the point that you know all the ways this can go bad. Then you now know all the ways that it can go right. Do you get? Even the more you fail, like, I don't know, like, as I'm saying that shoot, you got it wrong. It's an exciting thing to me because you've gotten it wrong. You can never get it wrong again like that. Like, even when he came back, we saw something. The images were looking very blue. Now, he didn't understand why the images were looking blue. But because on the camera, there's something called white balance. So when you go to a certain weather, you have to composite your white balance to suit in the weather, because it was shooting in the evening. The evening was already very blue, and the place we shot last, it was very warm. So we made it very cold. So the images were cold. So that thing now, he can't make that mistake again. If he goes somewhere and he sees it's blue, he would find the white balance on the camera and make sure it's warm. So you actually have to keep shooting. There's no escape. Okay. I think we're done with this. Are we done? Any other questions, Ima? Okay. One thing, see me, touch the screen is touch screen. One thing I want us to just touch a little bit today is I want us to do some practicals. We're going to be shooting Sa. You would clap for Sa now. She helped us the last time we did. So, I always love practicals. Like, we put our cameras together, set it up. Like, this is not going to be me doing this. It's going to be you people doing the setup. I'll just help out from behind. Maybe Daniel will help you. How many more minutes do we have? When did you push that into? 12 p.m.? So what's the time? Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to be shooting SAR because I just want us to do some practicals today so that we can get the point of what we're trying to do. So I'm thinking best bits, we're going to use this angle. Okay. So we'll recalibrate our settings and let's see how we can shoot SAR there, okay? Please, any more questions on the Trinity?
You might just keep it with
So, I don't know if...
Oh, it's not showing.
Because of Emmanuel, adjust your color a bit. Please do a little bit of fashion. Except you're shooting high-end camera that you can now somebody else will be handling the focus. Yeah, but for this.
Hi, I'm Sa'amatu, Creative Director and founder of Laro. My latest collection, Timeless, is a heartfelt celebration of resilience, identity, and elegance, inspired by the rich and vibrant flying culture. It captures the essence of timeless beauty through intricate details and bold statement design. I've incorporated pearls, a symbol of grace and sophistication, to connect tradition with modernity, tribute to the balance I have embraced in my own journey. As a corporate woman, my return to the fashion scene has been about merging my experience and the discipline of the corporate world with the creativity and artistry of design. This collection is not just clothing. It is a story of strength, reinvention, and staying true to oneself. It is for the woman who wears her heritage with pride while confidently stepping into the modern spaces. Through this collection, I want every woman to feel empowered, sophisticated, and deeply connected to her roots while embodying a modern corporate elegance. It's a reflection of my journey and an invitation for others to celebrate theirs.
Okay guys, we're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you.